This is a simple truth town hall meeting. And the reason we're calling it a simple truth town hall meeting is because people are scared. People just don't know what's going on in Washington. They don't know what's in the Obamacare bill that's now law. These 5 binders here are the Senate bill that was passed by the U.S. House before we did the reconciliation. My bill and the 70 Republican bills that have been introduced have not seen the light of day. Why? Because Nancy Pelosi and the liberals in Congress want one thing. They want socialism. They think we're too ignorant to run our own business. But let me assure you, the Republican Party now today in Congress is a different Republican Party than was in place when George Bush and the Republicans in the House and the Senate during the 107th, 108th, and 109th Congress created a tremendous amount of government spending. It's a different party today. Yes, sir.
Well, Paul, I'm Al Gray. I'm from
originally
from down in Columbia County, and I've moved up here in recent years. And I actually started voting Republican when it would get your butt whipped in Columbia County. And I have to add that I had a great big Paul Brown sign on my property.
Thank you.
Even when it was very unpopular in Columbia County because we had a local boy that was running against you. Reliance on Republicans is terribly misguided. Republicans they campaigned and took office and took control in 1994 on the contract with America, and it talked about term limits and balanced budgets and a lot of good things that just didn't happen. In addition to that, you had principles of the Republican Party. It talks about government that works best is closest to the people. In this state, we have 2 senators, Senator Isaacson and Senator Chambliss. We've got members of Congress, your colleagues, principally Kingston and Linder and Nathan Deal. These folks proceeded to double the debt during George Bush's 2 terms in office. They voted for No Child Left Behind that took power away over education locally and gave it to Washington, D.C.
I was against that. Still am.
Well,
I call it leave no teacher unshackled.
And in 2003, now my mother gets it, and everybody, I'm sure a lot of people in this room like it, but Medicare D was the biggest unfunded social program since Lyndon Johnson. There wasn't any money to fund it. So now we find ourselves, if you take the unfunded liabilities of this government projected out, each family of 4 in this country owes $1,200,000, and the average family makes less than $50,000. That's not going to work, and as you just talked about, that is the seeds of destruction and the seeds of ruin. It's real nice cutting taxes, but the money's got to come from somewhere, and we're borrowing it from China. We've got to make draconian cuts in spending, and where is the courage in the Republican Party to do that? I don't see it. All I saw for the last 8 years they were in office was doubling the debt.
And I blame Republicans just like you do. During George Bush. George Bush was a big spender. He brought us No Child Left Behind. He brought us the Part D program, which actually was started by Bill Clinton. So that was the Democratic Party's program that George Bush pushed through. And there are Republicans that still brag about and revel in their vote for that. I would have voted against it. We have a political system that's basically geared towards 2 parties. And the way the game is set up, the political game, the way the elective process is set up, is for 2 parties. So the question is, do we leave the Republican Party, or do we leave the Democratic Party and form a 3rd party, or do we try to reform what we have? And the way it's set up, actually, in this state, it's very difficult for any 3rd party candidate, even a Libertarian Party, which has the greatest ballot access. I've said all along that I didn't like what the Republican Party was doing, that it lost its moorings of limited government, low taxes, and very little intrusion in people's lives. We need to push it back to those moorings, and that's what I'm trying to do and will continue to try to do.
But they're the same people.
I'm new there. I wasn't part of that. There are a lot of people that are new there. We're fixing to elect a lot of folks around this country that aren't big government Republicans. We've had too many RINOs, Republicans in name only. So I think you're going to see a different Republican Party, and if not, then the American people are not going to stand for it.
All we need is Republicans to go to the principles they told us
Amen.
that they stood for.
I agree with you.
And they haven't done it.
I'll continue to fight to make the Republican Party one of fiscal responsibility, limited government, and of the free market.
My second question regards the financial crisis we've gone through and what's going on kind of behind the scenes. We've got a situation that's I think is really the grandest theft in the history of the world that's taken place against the people of this country and everybody in this room. And all the bailouts, all they've done is that they've enriched Wall Street and they've stolen from Main Street.
Right.
If you look at these guarantees that are given out, Warren Buffett's the richest man in the world. Well, if you follow the pattern of what he's got 9.5% guaranteed by the United States government return on his investment, whereas the folks in this room, the best they can get is 1% or 1.5%.
Mm-hmm. It's not right. I voted against every single one of those bailouts, every single one of these so-called stimulus bills, which are non-stimulus bills or jobs bills. And I'll continue to fight against them, and you're right. George Bush brought us TARP, the Toxic Assets Relief Program. At least the first half of it. Barack Obama brought us the second half. I voted against every one of those because I knew that they weren't the right things. George Bush was a big spender. And the Republicans, under the leadership during the first part of his administration, decided that they were going to do just what the Democrats are doing. We lost our moorings, and I blame the Republican Party. And the American people blamed the Republican Party and said, no, we're not going to put up with you anymore. We're going to throw you out of office, and that's what they did in 2006. That's what they did in 2008, not only with the Congress, but also the presidency. But America, I don't think, understood when Barack Obama was talking about fundamentally changing America that they were going to lose their freedom, that he wanted to fundamentally change America into a socialistic country. And the American people are going to be my partners and others to join together in doing that. And we've got to push the Republican Party back to its moorings.
I've always felt the Democrats were, as you said, Marxists. But I think
Not all of them.
I think the Republicans are socialists. I guess my last thing is as part of this financial meltdown, the last time something like this happened with the savings and loan scandal, 1,000 bankers went to prison. This time, there's not been one.
Right.
Fitch Ratings is one of the institutions to look at these toxic assets and everything that's gone on. Mm-hmm. And in their investigation, they said that every file they looked at bore evidence of fraud. And those things haven't been investigated. The Fed has been buying them up by the trillions, and they're still toxic, and they will never be worth much. Where are the prosecutions? Where's the government been? I mean, what we're talking about goes to the very essence of a civilized society, and I'm afraid that the money situation is going to blow this whole situation apart. I thank you for your service. I thank you for your voting record. If you had the voting record of Johnny Isaacson, I would run against you.
Thank you.